Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. My name is Rosalia and this is RozayReads. Today I wanted to update you all on my current physical TBR, how many I am currently at the moment. As you've known, I've been doing a physical TBR challenge where I read all of my 125 books that I physically own. And I just wanted to update you all on the current books that I still have that I still need to read. You're going to see a mix of genres, and I'm going to try to separate them by genre, but there's like a few that don't really have a specific category. Like I only have probably like one in historical fiction, for example. So I'm just going to group it up into fiction because it just makes sense. Yeah, that is really all I have for you. I love reading a mix of genres. I love reading classics all the way to horror, fantasy, romance. I'll read literally anything that you put in my hands. So without further ado, let's just get started with the books. So I'm going to start out with my graphic novels. I only have a couple here. So the first one I have is The Autumnal by several different authors, and it is a horror graphic novel that I got actually at like a horror bookstore, totally dedicated to just horror novels. Next, I have Anzu and the Realm of Darkness by Mai Wen, Beetle and the Hollow Bones by Eliza Lane, and the latest volume in the Heartstopper series, Volume 5 by Alice Osman. So up next, I just wanted to point out all of the classics that I want to read, or that I physically own. I have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, Paradise Lost by John Milton, 1984 by George Orwell, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I've tried picking this up like 2 times already, and every time I just want to put it down. I don't know why. I love classics, but I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of Jane Austen's writing. So we'll try again. We'll see if we can get into this. I have The Epic of Gilgamesh. This is translated by Andrew George, and I'm really looking forward to reading this because this is one of the world's first pieces of literature that we know to date. Next is another Jane Austen book, Sense and Sensibility. Next I have My Antonia by Willa Cather. This is my grandma's favorite book, so I really want to get to that. The Awakening by Kate Chopin. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I'm also very excited to get to this. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I read this before and I adore it, but I just want to read it again, and I got the Penguin Classics edition of Little Women. And finally, I have Edgar Huntley, and it's by Charles Brockden Brown. And I almost forgot, I also have Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Up next, I wanted to get into my horror genre. First up, I have The Redemption of Morgan Bright, and that's by Chris Panettiere. I actually met the author at a local horror book signing, and I just want to show you how he signed it with his stamp and his signature, and it was directed to me, and it's so sweet. Such a sweet author, and I'm so excited to get into this. Fantastic Land by Mike Bakoven. I'm also very excited to get to this because I heard it is sort of inspired or like a rendition of Lord of the Flies. Next book I have is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones, and I've heard a lot of good things about this author. I also did meet this author at my school, so I'm very excited to get into his writing. Next I have Dead 11 by Jimmy Juliano, Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright, In the Valley of Headless Men by L.P. Hernandez. I also met the author, and here's his signature. So I'm excited to read that as well. And then I think this is like the only one that I have that is like YA horror, and that is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. Next I have Monstrilio by Gerardo Cordova, Misery by Stephen Graham Jones, Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. And this is, I've heard, like historical horror, and it takes place during the Black Plague, so I cannot wait to get into this. My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. And then finally I have Out There Screaming And this is an anthology put together by Jordan Peele. Up next, I wanted to do the romance genre, and for that I have Master of One, and this is by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. And this is YA, like fantasy romance. I guess you could consider this a romance, more like a fantasy romance. That is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett, and this is the second book in the Emily Wilde trilogy. And I love the first book and I cannot wait to get into this one. Next up, I have Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and that's by Ashley Harry Blake. I have this first book, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and it's by Carissa Broadbent. I also have a first book, From Blood and Ash, and that's by Jennifer Armentrout. Up next, I have Hot Hex Boyfriend, and that's by Carly Bloom. I also met the author of this, and the cover just looks so adorable. And I had it signed for me, like right there. And she also gave me a bunch of stickers, like black hats and everything. So that was exciting. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and that's by Sangu Mandana. And finally, I have The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore, and I'm going to be saving this for the fall because it's the perfect fall read. Look at that. Just like, it's perfect. And I also read like first and second of the, I guess you could call, oh, I just pulled it out from there. But this is the Aquatar series by Sarah J. Maas, and I read the first and second book. Oh my gosh. The first and second book of this series, and I had a jolly good time. This is like the book that not really kind of got me back into like fantasy romance reading, but definitely I feel like this is the book that gave me a jump start to like romance and fantasy, which I do enjoy somewhat. And I bought the whole like series as like all the books that she has out right now, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, and this is like a chunky book. Then I have the novella A Court of Frost and Starlight, and lastly I have A Court of Silver Flames. Up next, I wanted to do science fiction / dystopian, and for that I want to reread the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins, and these are my like original copies that I owned like over a decade ago when it first came out. So yeah, this is my first paperback copy. And then this one, Catching Fire, I don't have a dust jacket, like I don't know where it went. I was a kid, guys. And this is Mockingjay, but this one is in fairly good condition. And I wanted to do a reread of those so I could get into the two books that recently came out. The first one is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is the fourth one. This is a prequel in the Hunger Games trilogy, focusing more on snow. And then Sunrise on the Reaping, and I believe this is focusing on Haymitch. The next book that I have is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, and this is dystopian sci-fi. The next one is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and I believe this is sci-fi but also like a thriller, so I just included it in here. Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. The Martian by Andy Weir. And lastly, I have Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Next up, I have a smaller category, only 3 books here, and these are my mystery thrillers. First, I have The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn, and finally, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, and this is by Benjamin Stevenson. Up next, I wanted to do fantasy, and I have a good amount of fantasy books on my to-be-read pile. First one I have is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. I read the first book, House on the Cerulean Sea, and I adored that book. And this is the second book in that series. One Jar of Magic by Corey Ann Haydu. I'm also going to put The Lost Apothecary in here, and this is by Sarah Penner. This title is a little hard for me to say, but it's The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. It's by Zoraida Zoraida Cordova. Babel by R.F. Kuang. We know who she is. We're excited to read her. Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I'm also very excited for this. And we read Fourth Wing, and we want to read Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Even though, so like, there's a thing where it's like, you can love a book without it being like that good. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. But I ate that up. I ate Fourth Wing up, okay? Like that was a comfort read for me. Like that was so that was fun. It was just fun, you know? And so I picked up Iron Flame, so hopefully I'll have the same fun time, you know? It's a fun time, guys, okay? You know, all those haters out there saying like Fourth Wing, it's not good. Just go in it having fun, okay? Just have fun when you read this. Thank you. So I have a mix of fantasy going all the way to middle grade, which I only have one middle grade fantasy, I believe, all the way to adult fantasy. But I do have Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow, and this is by Jessica Townsend. I'm also very excited for this. I love me a middle grade read, guys. Like, it's a fun time. Don't go in expecting, I'm like critiquing everything now because I feel like adults should read middle grade. Like it's fun, you know? After reading a large epic fantasy, I feel like the best thing to do is just read like for fun, you know? And I feel like this is a really fun thing to get into. Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Another YA fantasy, Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaefer. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I also started reading it like barely. I think I got like 20 pages in and I put it down like 2 times. And I think I just need to get into it. Like I'm gonna try it out, and if not, I'll DNF it. But I just want to try one more time. 3rd time's the charm. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I believe this is fantasy. It might just be fiction, so correct me if I'm wrong. Finally, I have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And I say finally, but little do I know that I have the rest of the Way of Kings series that I still need to finish. I currently just finished Warbreaker. After reading Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, I've heard like a lot of like people saying that you need to read Warbreaker before you start getting into Oathbringer, which is the 3rd book in the Stormlight Archive series. So I just picked it up just in case. Like I just wanted to assure myself like, okay, I don't want to like go into it blind. So I picked up Warbreaker and I love that book, guys. I loved it. It was so cute, and it's a standalone. And then the next one I need to read is Dawn Shard, which is the novella in between Words of Radiance and Oathbringer. And I don't have it physically, but I'm gonna probably borrow it from the library since I'm trying not to buy books. I'm trying not to buy books until I get this down, guys. Okay, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna read Dawn Shard before I get back into the Stormlight Archive series. And then there's also another novella. No, oh my gosh. I'm gonna pick up Edge Dancer. That's the one. That's the novella I need to read. And then after Oathbringer is called Dawn Shard. I mix the 2 names up like all the time. But those are the 2 ones I'm probably gonna borrow from the library. And yeah, I don't want to take those out because those are big boys and they're like stuck in their case still. So I'm just going to leave them there. You see it all the time behind me. So there's that. I also need to read. So we're still going with fantasy. I literally forgot I had these books because I had my cart and then because it's like so full. It's getting less now because I've been reading from the cart, but I've kept books on my little mini shelf over here and I forgot all about them. So we have Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. This is an ARC that I got. A Dreadful Splendor by B.R. Myers. This is another ARC that I received, and this is Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundell. And then finally, I have the duology Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. That was officially all the fantasy that I need to read. Okay, let's get into nonfiction. For my nonfiction, I have They Fought Like Demons, Women Soldiers in the Civil War. This is by Deanne Blanton and Laura M. Cook. I'm very excited for this. I actually did a Civil War reenactment dressed as one of the soldiers in the Civil War because little did I know that women fought in the Civil War. That is amazing. So they disguise as men. So I'm excited to pick this up. Next I have All That Remains, and this is by Sue Black. The Raven Master by Christopher Scaife. I'm very excited to pick this up. I wasn't able to pick it up before I went on my trip to England, so I'm just really excited to pick it up after actually experiencing the ravens at the Tower of London. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. This is by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. I heard this is really good and it reads like fiction, but it is actually nonfiction, so I'm excited for this. And lastly, I have The Professor and the Madman. This is by Simon Winchester, and I've watched the movie of this and it's highly underrated. Okay, you guys need to see the movie and then pick up this book, or pick up this book and then watch the movie, because this is such an intriguing story. It is about the collaboration of making the English Oxford Dictionary, and it follows two men. One man who is extremely prolific in several different languages, and he is kind of like the head of this project of making the English Oxford Dictionary, and he starts receiving letters from a surgeon, a retired surgeon who served in the Civil War, but we find out later that there's something up with him. Like we didn't really meet him until later, but there's something that remains a secret behind all these letters, and that is where we find out The Professor and the Madman. It is a work of art, and you guys need to see the movie. I cried. I'm very excited to pick this up. And I almost forgot, I also have Vanishing Treasures, and this is also by Catherine Rundell. The other book that I showed you by her was Impossible Creatures, and I didn't know it was the same author until I got this book. So I'm very excited. This just shows all the different species that are currently going extinct or are endangered, and shows you the beauty of each and every one of them, and I'm really excited to pick this up. It seems so sweet. Last but certainly not least, I have general fiction. In this I included literary fiction, my historical fiction, because I only have one or two books that are actually historical fiction, so I grouped it up all into general fiction. So the first book that I have here is called Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is a young adult historical fiction. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Nye. I hope I said that right. The Cat Who Saved Books by Suzuki Natsukawa. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. Sharks in the Times of Saviors by Kawai Strong Washburn. Where's the shark? 2213 by Zena. I got this gifted to me, and y'all do not know. Y'all do not want to know what this is about, but I'm going to read it anyways. I might do it for a little vlog. James by Percival Everett. I've heard lots of good things about this. This won, I believe, best book of the year for 2024. And this is called The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. A December to Remember by Jenny Bayless. I'm going to save this for December. Since it's a Christmas book. A Bear Called Paddington by Michael Bond. A fantasy novel that I forgot to mention is called Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, and he's my cat. He wants to be included. He wants to be the star. Oh. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Okay. Are you done? Okay, go backstage. Thank you. Oh. So, as I was saying, this is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. I've heard it has the same setting and vibes as Arcane, the series on Netflix, which is like one of my all-time favorite series. and I want to get back into a world similar to that. So this is Foundry Side. And the last one I have is The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. So I started out with 125 books on my physical TBR at the beginning of this year, and my goal was to bring that down, of course, before buying anything else. So I have a tracker here with all the books and all the genre that it pertains to, and with a progress bar tracking how many books I read so far. So I've already read 27 books on that TBR, and I'm currently finishing up my 28th book. So if we just do 125 minus 27, we have 98 books left. So we're down to 100. Wow! We're finally under 100. That is really exciting because I just want to get back into the happy, cozy feeling of picking up a new book and not having piles of books that I still haven't read in my home. Okay? I want to go to a store, pick up a book without feeling guilty. Okay? So that is the update. 98 books left on my TBR. I'm very excited that I'm finally down to 100. Let me know if you made it to the end of this video by commenting a spiderweb emoji, and I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Okay, bye!